So, part 2 of my cottage expansion. Last time, over the course of 2 days, we went from this to this, completely stripping off the old rusty sheets from the roof so we can build up from there our floor area. Again, a quick look at the plan, with the front and sides looking like so. So the first step is to build up the floor. But before we can do that, we have to build supports for the floor. And since this was previously a roof, we need to make sure it's level. You can see this side, it's fine. But this side, there's a big gap between the top of the roof to where it needs to be so it's level. So to start, we got some old timbers here, which we can use as supports. But first we gotta cut off those unusable bits. I had initially used them as a project before, and those had those slits in it, but we don't need those parts, so we cut those off. Then we go ahead and pre-drill some holes. It's not exactly the best wood, so we need to make sure we ain't splitting it with the nails we're driving through it. We grab our hammer, and you can see these are the whopping big nails we're going to be putting in there. We can just pre-tap them in and then go ahead and nail them to our posts. These are going to be, again, our supports for the floor. These are some tough nails and take a good bit of whacking. But there we have one of them fully nailed in with all 4 nails. And that's what it looks like on the top. And it essentially has to be level with that brown piece of wood there on the right. So back to our workbench, we can get a measurement for our next few pieces and get those cut down to size. We needed to grab a few more of those big nails. And here you can greet Poppy, our third dog actually. She was a puppy of one of the other dogs we have as well. She's still less than a year old. And here comes Colleen wanting to play. And there's Mia, who's the mother of Poppy. So we got the rest of those boards fully nailed in. And in total, we had to get 6 of them just to support that one beam at the end there. And that's all of them there. And you can see them poking up then at the top. You can see the blue line across is where the main support beam is going to fit on. I'm going to have to cut slots into that. And we'll do that at a later date. But for now, we gotta clear off this breather membrane so we can access the wood support just there. So we can see what we have to do in order to make a smooth support on this end just adjacent to the roof. And here we've gotta snip out all of this sheep wire, and we're gonna have to do that all along there. And there we have it, all of it done. A little bit risky work there. So now we go to our wood pile, which is nicely covered up so that it doesn't get wet. It rains a lot here. And with that, we need one particular piece of wood for our support. But first, we gotta go and free the bundle of these annoying plastic yokes. I get why they're there. We snip through them. Unfortunately, I can't play the satisfying sound as they go pop, as my microphone was getting blasted by a lot of wind. So we will need this piece, which is a 9 by 2 inch massive yokes. Is going to be our joists. We get that lowered to the floor. But what we need right now is a 6 by 2. Which is going to be under here. Hopefully we can pull that out. We got our fingers behind it, and no, we're going to need our 2 hands. And there we have it, this one. So that 6 by 2 we're going to need for right there. This will be our support for those joists. But now we're going to need the drill and a ladder to remove all of those screws. You can see they got these little caps, pop them off there, and then they got the screw underneath, and we'll be collecting them all in our bucket. So we go and we get that unscrewed there and chuck it in the bucket with the rest. So there we go, screw removed along with all the rest of them. Our pocket's full with these. We can chuck them in the bucket, pull out the rest of them, and a bunch more in the right pocket too. There we go. That's a whole ton. It took quite a while. I personally hate undoing things, much prefer putting them together. Oh, and that's even more of them. So with that done, we can finally lift up these sheets a fair amount and then try and straighten up that piece of wood we just put under there. We definitely need 2 hands to get this job done, but try as we might, we can't get it to fit because of this support beam for the galvanize. So off camera, we did a good bit of frustrating sawing, crowbarring, and we finally got that support beam out, and we finally managed to place our new one in. This one again to hold up the floor. So well, we got our screwdriver and some massive screws, but unfortunately screwdriver wasn't working too great in this closed space. You can see the hammer barely fits, but we just about do manage to get enough of those nails hammered in there in this short confined space. Very frustrating to get these in with such tiny hammer hits. Put the hammer on the side and yeah, well, still takes forever. But with the last nail in, that's that support. Fairly well supported, I guess. Not much has changed. But we go back, we grab our tools, a saw, a hammer, and some chisels, as we're gonna have to saw slits into these things in order to hold the big joist, which I did manage to pull up there off camera. But getting at this thing with the saw, I quickly realized that when you saw with the grain of the wood, I've known this from the past, I didn't think it would be this hard, the saw doesn't have a lot to bite onto it with its teeth, so it ends up taking like twice as long to saw through this wood. So after a fair amount of sawing, I was like, bloody hell, this is gonna take forever. So I managed to get this far, as you can see on those cuts. But yeah, I got a new plan. We ain't gonna use this saw. We're gonna use a chainsaw. Hell yeah. Not the best use of this tool, but it should be able to do the trick. Put my hat aside and grab my earmuffs. And well, that was some noisy work, but it did the job. You can see all the sawdust here. And now we gotta remove those inner bits. And the way we do this is with a chisel and a hammer and just tap, tap, tap. Bite into the wood, take out a chunk there. Same on the other side, and then this thing you can just tap out with a hammer, fairly easy. And we have to do that same process again on the second support that's just on the same pole. Again, weakening it and then tap it with the hammer and it'll just bend there or break the fibers, and we should be able to just bend the thing and tear it out. There we go. And we can tidy up the bottom there with the chisel. So we mark out the next ones and we gotta cut those two. That's them cut and cleared out. And on to the last two. This was bloody tedious and took me the majority of the day up until now. But that's all the chainsaw work done. Pretty risky up here, but we did it. And now we can get that joist lifted up and slot it in. We managed to get it down. Check if it's level. Oh, it is indeed. Happy days. And there we have it. You can see it from the side of what we accomplished. You can see far end there, that piece of wood, that's where the joists that are going to hold up the floor will be. Now somebody did ask, could they see more of the sheep? Yes, indeed you can. There they are. The majority of these are just lambs. In fact, all of those are. These guys are getting weaned from their mothers, the ones we're going to sell. The rest of them are split off in another field. We have about 18 or so of them. You can see them just here on the video with the mother begging for food right in front of me. She's like their minder. She's like the tamest, so they will generally be a bit more trusting of you if she's right next to you. And that was pretty much the day's work done for me. I got those supports in either side. I let the sheep back into their shed. They are still pretty scared of me. I don't have food for them right now. But we moved to day 4 as Colleen's exploring the roof. And you can see I stripped away some more of the membrane that was covering the roof. You can somewhat see what we're trying to get towards. There's some pictures of Colleen again. I don't think she should jump over to me. But yeah, she's lost interest and, well, we gotta go and clear out the rest of this sheep wire. It's just in the way for me. So we go and do that, get it under there, squeeze and clip all along until we finally get the whole thing out of there. So now we gotta get a bunch of wood. We gotta get the plywood sheet that's on top of here, along with a whole bunch of these joists. So we load them up onto the teleporter there. Colleen's sleeping in the corner there, chewing on something, and Poppy's eager for my attention. Oh, with me, what's up? So we drive the stuff up and over to the shed. We can just put the board aside, and then we can grab this electrical drill with these big screws. I found the battery-powered drill wasn't having much fun with those massive screws. So we go to plug it in. We brought our extension lead here with our power outlet, and with them both connected there safely. Check if the drill works. It does indeed. And now we got to put these massive screws in to hold up the joist, which is in the middle. And even this drill wasn't too happy with these massive screws towards the end. It started smoking a little bit. Not so good. But now we need some extra support. We got our saw to draw a right angle there so we can cut it straight. And let's get this thing lined up and sawed off. Damn it, my teeny pencil rolled between the cracks of the boards. All the way in between there. Try and get the saw to like pull it out. We finally did manage to catch it, and a quick yank, and there we go. Yeah, the pencil I'm using, questionably small, but we got the thing cut, and that pencil does the job. It's been through a lot. And what did we need it for? Well, this middle support that I put in the middle kind of tilts over, and I'm not too happy with it. So we're going to put this guy right in between them, butted there and up against there. Do a bit of tugging and we finally get it positioned. Now we got to grab some more tools. We grab the square. This is for getting a right angle. We get our hammer, and we're going to need a whole bunch more nails. We make sure that's a right angle there. We got to slide it to one side. We get it nicely squared up. There we go, all sides touching, no gaps, and we can nail this thing into position. Damn it! Yeah, that's because I didn't really put the nail in. Well, we really gotta use 2 hands for this, sorry. But we get it supported in enough, and there we go. We can just hammer this thing in fairly easily with a good swing. And also on the other side. Now we need another one of those pieces of wood, measuring the length of it, and then sawing it off. I will need my 2 hands. So this is what it currently looks like. We got those 3 supports in now. You can see just there, there, and there. That's to support this middle beam. And then we got that sheet of plywood that we had brought already, so we can use that as a bit of a support. But that's nowhere near the floor actually even started. That's just the support for those floor joists. We grab our drill and a few screws, this one of just a smaller type as we don't need such long ones. We get these little pieces of wood here as we're going to put up our first joist, but it needs a bit of a help to stand still. We screw in the pieces of wood there, and you can see this is what I mean. We have the joist, and you can see what it's looking like. Those are the floor joists, those 2 parallel ones that are very close to each other. We need to now join them with noggins. So we're just gonna cut that length of wood there, and these pieces go in between. And we need to make sure again that it's square. We have to move it over to one side to eliminate that gap, and then we can have a nice 90-degree angle. Oops, daisies. Damn it. That's the problem building so high up. And we can hammer in our first nails here for our first noggin. And just a second nail on the bottom there just for extra support. And that's that nailed in from both sides. And you can see then we do again with the other side as well. And that's like 2 of the joists in. And we got to do that a ton more. We get the 3rd joist in, same noggins for it. At this point, hell yeah, we got a nice support for our floor. We can even jump around on it. That's how our floor is going to be looking like. We're going to have these boards which just span it good enough so that we can have the spacing just right so that they will fit halfway onto a joist and then span over. So let's not get too carried away as we have a lot more of that to do still. We got to measure our distance, make sure the 4th joist is far enough apart, and bloody hell, this joist is stuck, and we're gonna have to get rid of this extra support for the old roof tab. So we get our saw, and well, we just gotta awkwardly cut this thing off. So we do that to pull it off there, and that will free the joist to be able to slide all the way into there. Just bad luck, but we get the 4th joist in there with it supporting noggins. Our supply of joists is dwindling, but so is the sun in the sky, so we don't have much left. Let's just get these last ones done. There's our 5th one. We gotta get more noggins so we can greet Colleen on the way. She's pretty happy. At this point, the piece of wood isn't too long that we can drag it to the workshop and we can support it in this vise. Makes it very easy to saw things, especially when you're holding the camera in one hand. But we got to go and measure this then, get the right angle. Once that's cut, we have got to grab still a few more nails, shove them in my pocket. At this point, we can just cut multiple of the same noggins. We got 1 there, 2, 3, and 4. bring them all up to the top here, and that should be good for the next 2 joists. And god damn it, I started putting the nail in the wrong side. It's got to go on the other side as we're staggering the noggins. You can see this one's on that side, this one's on that side, and that's so we have enough room to hammer them in on the opposite side to put the nail in. You can see we get that 5th one in there, we get the 6th one, and the 7th one. We're so close to the end with the 7th joist when we come across another misfortune. This noggin won't fit because this damn thing is just slightly too high. Well, we brought our saw and well, we gotta cut this damn thing down a little bit. Comes off fairly easily just like so. And now the noggin should be able to fit properly. There we go. It does. Excellent. And so just the last few nails in here, we gotta like preemptively put the nail in, check if it pokes out a little bit, hammer in it a bit more, and there we go. You can probably just see it poking there, and now we can chuck the hammer aside, grab the noggin, and we can put it in there, and then we can hammer it in, just so that we don't have to hold it for too long. And that's it for 2 days work. I'm doing this all entirely by myself, so yeah, it can definitely take a bit longer than I expected, especially by myself. I expected to get this far in like that 3rd day when I was working on the roof supports, but those supports took far longer than expected, with inconveniences of just things being in the wrong way. And this galvanized is a pain in the ass to shove these joists underneath it. But I'm going to call it a day. We put the piece of plywood board underneath some of this membrane here so that it doesn't get too wet when it rains. And so in part 2, we pretty much went from this to this. Personally, really happy out how it's going. The next step forwards will be to finish those joists on this far side, and then put the membrane over this and put our insulation, and ultimately then we can finally have a full floor we can build up from. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.